Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope your day and your week are going well so far. We've got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. We've got a new day, a new MLB slate, and a new opportunity to win some money. I've got 5 picks to share today, guys, for today's MLB slate. But first, before we dive into today's video, we do have to do a quick little recap of how we did last night. And overall, guys, it wasn't a great performance, but not a bad performance either. We went 2-2 yesterday, but the 2 picks that we hit, we had Masataka Yoshida, who I'm now realizing we had a spelling error there. Apologies for that. It's not Masataka, it's Masataka Yoshida. Over 1.5 total bases, that was a plus money play. And Tyler Freeman, under half a total base, was even odds to / plus money play, depending on what sportsbook you got it at. So some pretty valuable hits there, but unfortunately, we did have a couple of losses there as well. Like I said, guys, not a terrible day, but not a great day either. I do think we can do much better than that. I'm feeling a big bounce back day on the way, guys. Let's go ahead and shoot for the moon today, guys. Comment shoot for the moon if you're watching today's video right now, so I can go ahead and see who's following along, who's riding, who's ready for a big, big day. 5 picks coming your way. Let's dive right in. We are jumping right into the Outlier screen, guys. Shout out to Outlier, the best sports betting tool on the market, guys. I say all the time, if you want to make money in the sports betting landscape, you got to have the proper tool by your side. And Outlier is the best tool that money can buy. It consolidates everything that you need to make smart sports betting choices all in one easy, convenient place. We do offer a special link down below in our description that gives you guys a 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. There's no risk involved. You try it for 7 days. If you don't like it, which I'd be super shocked if you didn't, but if you don't like it, you can go ahead and cancel. No cost to you at all, guys. It's the best sports betting tool. I promise you. You will become a better sports bettor if you use Outlier. I know I have become a better sports bettor using Outlier. You can too when you use our special offer down below. 7-day free trial when you use a special link. Shout out to Outlier for sponsoring today's video. All right, guys, our first of 5 picks from today's slate. We had the Yankees-Nationals game, 6:45 p.m. first pitch. And yeah, I know you guys are going to probably criticize me for going with it again, but I'm going to keep riding it because I think it's a really good matchup here. We're going Aaron Judge, over 1.5 total bases. I know we got burned yesterday on this prop, but I'm going to go ahead and take another stab at it today. Available on multiple sportsbooks. See minus 135 on Bet365, minus 140 on DraftKings, minus 140 BetMGM, minus 142 on Caesars, minus 174 on Underdog, and minus 175 on FanDuel. As always, guys, make sure to shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. And again, Judge has been on a tear of late, and I know 2 of the last 3 games he's failed to cash the over, but overall, the data is still pretty solid. 7 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over. It's an average of 3.8 total bases per game, a 70% hit rate. So far in 2024, a 54% hit rate on this over. 70 out of 130 games this year, he's cashed the over, an average of 2.61 total bases per game. And the head-to-head data is not terrible either. 2 of his last 4 meetings with the Washington Nationals, he has cashed the over, an average of 4.25 total bases per game. The data is obviously a little bit skewed because they had that game back on August 23rd of last season. He had 12 total bases and was a 9-1 win for the Yanks. But like I said, the data overall is pretty solid. Looking down below at the insights provided by Outlier, Aaron Judge has exceeded 1.5 bases in 11 of his last 14 games, an average of 3.9 bases per game over that 14-game span. And looking down below at the matchup stats, now the head-to-head data at first glance does not look fantastic. You see Aaron Judge versus Patrick Corbin since 2018, 9 plate appearances, just a 125 batting average. He's had 1 hit off of him. It looks like he hit a home run off of Corbin is the 1 hit that he had. So not fantastic data there head-to-head. But remember, this is a National League versus American League. These are 2 players that don't face off against each other all that much. And Patrick Corbin this year is very different from Patrick Corbin of years past. And looking at Judge's numbers this season, they're absolutely fantastic. You see 333 batting average overall. It does drop to 312 versus left-handed pitchers, but here's a secret for you guys. 312 batting average is still really, really good. So yeah, it's a dip from his overall average, but it's still really good numbers. But more importantly, his ISO increases to 468, and his extra base hit percentage is a whopping 61.8% off of left-handed pitchers. That's right. Aaron Judge is crushing the baseball when matched up with lefties. And like I said, guys, Patrick Corbin today is now what Patrick Corbin was years ago. He's having a pretty rough season overall with the Natties. 5.73 ERA overall, 3.07 batting average allowed, not very good. It gets even worse versus right-handed batters, though. Now you see a 6.19 ERA versus right-handed hitters, 3.22 batting average allowed, yikes. 5.28 slugging percentage, super yikes. And an extra base hit percentage of 34.5%, which actually is a little bit of a dip from his overall number, but still, 34.5% is pretty high. Moral of the story, guys, you got a Nationals team that's not particularly good against Patrick Corbin. 3.12 record this year, 5.73 ERA. Really bad numbers for Patrick Corbin. I think Aaron Judge absolutely abuses this matchup. If he doesn't get extra base hit today, I don't know. I just don't know. I'll have to reevaluate life itself if that prop doesn't hit, honestly. I think it's a lock. All right, moving on. Second prop of today's slate. We're going on to the Blue Jays-Red Sox game, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. We're going Vladdy Jr. of the Blue Jays over 1.5 total bases. We're getting that for minus 120 on Bet365, minus 120 on Underdog. Shout out to Underdog. Minus 125 on DraftKings, minus 125 on Caesars, minus 130 on DraftKings, and minus 150 on FanDuel. It looks like Underdog provides the best odds for this prop. And guys, we have a special offer for you if you want to go ahead and bet this prop on Underdog. Again, minus 120, the best odds available for this prop. When you use our special link down below or use promo code GUYBOSTON, that's Guy Boston, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $1,000. That's right. You heard that here. That's not incorrect. I didn't read that wrong. Underdog will match, Underdog will match your first deposit. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not matching your deposit, guys. I hate to tell you that. I don't think he's going to match your deposit. Underdog Fantasy will match your first deposit up to $1,000. And on top of that, they'll also offer you a special pick when you use the link down below or promo code GUYBOSTON. So if you're thinking about betting this prop, you want to use Underdog Fantasy, if Underdog is available in your state, consider using our special offer down below. Like I said, link down below or use promo code GUYBOSTON. They'll match your first deposit up to $1,000 and give you a special pick, as well as giving you the option to bet this prop. Special thank you, as always, to Underdog Fantasy for partnering with Guy Boston Sports. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., over 1.5 total bases. He's cashed it in 7 of his last 10 games, including 4 consecutive games. He's averaging 2.2 total bases per game average. Over the last 20 games, you see a 60% hit rate, a little bit of drop, but still pretty good data overall. 60% hit rate, 12 of his last 20 games, an average of 2.5 total bases per game. Pretty good data there overall. On the season data, it's okay. 49% hit rate on the year. Not terrible, not great. 64 out of 131 games this year. He's cashed the over, an average of 2.15 total bases per game. But the head-to-head data is pretty solid. You see 11 of his last 19 matchups with the Red Sox, he has cashed the over. It's a 58% hit rate, an average of 2.63 total bases per game versus Boston. And also, he's cashed this in 4 consecutive matchups with the Red Sox, including both games yesterday. Had a doubleheader yesterday. In both games, he cashed this over versus them. 4 straight matchups this season versus Boston. So pretty good trend data there. Looking at the insights provided by Outlier, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has exceeded 1.5 bases in 10 of his last 12 games on the road, an average of 2.8 total bases per game average. Looking at Vladdy Jr. versus Cooper Criswell, 4 plate appearances since 2018, 250 batting average, just 1 hit off of him, but again, a very small sample size there. Overall this year, Vladdy Jr., 320 batting average, again, a slight dip to 318, but 318 is still really phenomenal. His BIP is at 339, a slight increase. His ISO 225. Extra base hit percentage, you do see a drop, but 37.7% is still a pretty solid number. Not Aaron Judge good, but still pretty good. Cooper Criswell, though, this is really where I like the matchup. He's not having a great year overall for the Sox. Not terrible, but not great, especially versus right-handed batters. Overall, you see 4.41 ERA, 2.78 batting average allowed. Versus right-handed batters, it increases to 5.17 ERA and 2.87 batting average allowed. His extra base hit percentage is also very high at 40%, which is obviously very good for us in this matchup here, and his slugging percentage is at 478. So really good data on this prop and really solid head-to-head matchup here versus Cooper Criswell. I like this prop a lot. For minus 120 on Underdog, again, use that special offer. It could be a very good value pick for you guys. All right, guys, our third prop of today's slate, we're going on to the Padres-Cardinals game, 7:45 p.m. first pitch. We got Jackson Merrill here over 1.5 total bases, available on Bet365 for minus 125, Caesars for minus 129, FanDuel for minus 130, DraftKings for minus 135, and Underdog for minus 155. The data for this one is decent. It's not the best we've seen so far today, but it's decent overall. You see 6 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over. It's an average of 2.2 total bases per game and a 60% hit rate. If you go ahead and stretch that data out to the last 20 games, still pretty solid, 60% hit rate, 12 of his last 20 games. He's cashed the over with an average of 2.65 total bases per game. The season data is where this prop gets a little bit murky here. You see the current season data, 43% hit rate this year, 54 out of 126 games this season he's cashed the over, with an average of 1.76 total bases per game. 43% hit rate's not very good, so that's where the data gets a little bit murky in our favor. And the head-to-head data is okay. You see 2 of his last 4 games versus the Cardinals, he's cashed the over, including the last time they played last night. He had 2 total bases and was a 7-4 win for San Diego. But where this prop really gets juicy is the head-to-head matchup here. Now, Jackson Merrill versus Miles Mikolas. By the way, if you watched last week's videos, we did bet Miles Mikolas over in runs or something like that, and he ended up pitching like an absolute gem in one of those games. So, F you, Miles Mikolas. No, actually, not really. I'm pretty sure he's Greek, so that kind of makes him a cousin of mine, I guess. That's how it works. If you're Greek, you're cousins with everybody. But Jackson Merrill versus Mikolas, 2 plate appearances in 2018, a very small sample size, but he did get a hit in one of those 2 plate appearances. Jackson Merrill this year, 288 batting average overall. Pretty good numbers across the board, but versus right-handed pitchers, which is a pretty good, decent sample size of 347 plate appearances, it gets even better. 318 batting average, 359 BABIP, 222 ISO, and 36.9 extra base hit percentage. You see green across the board. That means there's increases in every statistical number for Jackson Merrill when facing off with right-handed pitchers. So really solid data. And then looking at Mikolas, yeah, he screwed us last week, but overall, he's not having the best of seasons. 5.19 ERA overall, 2.79 batting average allowed. Versus left-handed batters, though, you do see an increase in the ERA to 5.32 and an ever so slight decrease to 2.77, but it's still the same number. And again, here's a little secret for you guys. 277 batting average allowed. It's really, really bad. Not good. Not good. 488 slugging percentage allowed and a whopping 45.8% extra base hit percentage off of left-handed batters. So really good matchup here. The data overall may not be fantastic, but the head-to-head matchup paints the whole picture. I do like this prop. All right, guys, our fourth prop of today's slate. We're moving on to the Rangers-White Sox game, 8:10 p.m. first pitch. We're going Miguel Vargas, under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Full warning ahead of time. He's been in and out of the White Sox lineup over the past couple weeks, so there's a good chance he gets pulled. You may not know if he's going to play or not tonight. At the time of recording, he is supposed to play tonight. He's supposed to be in the lineup for Chicago. Again, that could change come to game time, but if he's in the lineup, this is a really good prop. And the odds basically confirm that. You see minus 140 on DraftKings, minus 145 on BetMGM. 9 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the under an average of 0.6 hits, runs, RBIs per game. The last time he played on August 25th, he did cash the over. He had 1 hit and 1 run and was a 9-4 loss for the White Sox. But again, across the board, pretty bad data for Vargas, pretty good data for us. The last 20 games still really good in our favor. 90% hit rate. 18 of his last 20 games, he's cashed the under an average of just 0.7 hits, runs, RBIs per game on August 2nd versus Minnesota and then August 25th versus Detroit. Literally like almost a month, 3 weeks in between cashes for Vargas. Of course, you see he got pulled from the lineup a couple of times there. And on the year so far for Vargas, he's only played 48 games for the White Sox, but he's cashed it in 37 out of 48 games this year. That's a 77% hit rate on the under this season. And actually, sorry, not even 48 games to the White Sox. 48 games in general. He did come over with a trade from the Dodgers. And ever since he came to the White Sox, you see it's gone. So this is where the Dodgers, right? We're going to go ahead and see where that trade happens. Right around, where is it? That's Dodgers. So his cold streak actually started with the Dodgers, which is probably some motivation to why they traded him. His cold streak started with the Dodgers, but then you see since joining the White Sox, which came around, I think it's July 30th. From that point on, he's only cashed the over 2 times since being traded to Chicago. So not very good numbers. Again, really good for us. Not very good for Miguel Vargas. And the head-to-head data, he has faced off with the Rangers once this year, back on June 11th when he was with the Dodgers. He had 1 RBI, but no hits and no runs, and was a 15-2 loss for the Rangers. So that was a cash on the under there for us. Looking at the matchup data down below, the insights provided by Outlier, Miguel Vargas has failed to exceed 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 12 of his last 13 games at home and averages half a hit, run, RBI per game average over that span. And the matchup is very enticing. Now, again, I know it shows red. He's batting 173 overall this year versus left-handed pitchers. You do see an increase of 207. Good for him. But 207 is still a really bad number. Really low batting average. So even though it's higher, it's still not very good. And look at the matchup versus Andrew Heaney of the Rangers. You see 4.04 ERA and a 2.44 batting average overall. But versus right-handed batters, an increase in his favor. 3.72 ERA and 2.29 batting average allowed. So actually, I should say decreases. But really good numbers across the board for Andrew Heaney there versus right-handed batters. So that matchup there versus Vargas, you got a good pitcher, a decent pitcher, I should say, versus Vargas. I just don't see it working out for him. We're praying the man's downfall. We're trying to make money off of his failure. I think he's going to cash again. Again, my biggest fear of this prop isn't anything in terms of him hitting the over. It's more he may not even play this game. So hopefully he plays. If he plays, this feels like an absolute cash to me. But again, the biggest risk in this prop is if he's in the lineup or not for Chicago. But again, worst case scenario, if he isn't, the bet gets voided anyway. So I would go ahead and ride with this pick. All right, guys, in our fifth and final prop from today's slate, we're going on to the Marlins-Rockies game, 8:40 p.m. first pitch. We're going Otto Lopez here, over half a strikeout, available on DraftKings for minus 115, BetMGM minus 115, and Prize Picks for minus 119. Otto Lopez has cashed the over in 7 of his last 10 games, but it is worth noting that 3 of his last 4, he has not struck out. But still, overall, the data is pretty good. You see 0.8 strikeouts per game over the last 10. You go to the last 20 games, still 70% hit rate. 14 of his last 20 games, he's cashed the over, an average of 0.8 strikeouts per game average over that 20-game span. And so far in 2024, a 54% hit rate on the over. 45 out of 83 games this year, he's cashed the over, with an average of 0.65 strikeouts per game. And looking at the head-to-head data, he faced off with Colorado last night, and he did not strike out and was a 3-2 loss for the Marlins. Looking down below at the insights provided by Outlier, Otto Lopez has exceeded half a strikeout in 12 of his last 13 games on the road, an average of 1 strikeout per game over that 13-game span on the road. And the matchup stats are pretty good overall. You see Otto Lopez, 17.6% strikeout rate this year, but versus right-handed pitchers, it does increase to 18.2, which is not the highest we've seen, but again, it's pretty high overall, so a really good mark, 18.2%. But we also have a pretty good matchup here. You look at the pitching matchup versus Cal Quantrill of the Rockies. He has an 18.2, actually the same numbers, 18.2% both ways versus right-handed batter. So 18.2 versus 18.2. We're both in the green zone, 2.9 strikeouts per walk. I really do like the numbers here. The matchup seems pretty good. Although I know the last couple games he hasn't been striking out as much as he has been. Again, the data overall seems to be pretty good. 54% hit rate on the year, a 70% hit rate over the last 20 games. Really solid prop here for -115. Absolutely right with that. So those are all 5 picks from today's slate. Like I said, guys, I'm feeling really good about this slate. I feel like we're due. I mean, we've had a really good run, but the last 2 videos, we've been okay. I feel like we're due to get back on our big-time money-making track that we were on last week. So let's keep the good times rolling here. All 5 picks from today's slate. Quick little recap here. We have Jackson Merrill over 1.5 total bases. Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases. Miguel Vargas under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Otto Lopez over half a strikeout. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 total bases. Again, if you click this link for the picks, which will be in the description as well as the pinned comment, it'll take you right to this page here. It's very easy to follow along, very easy to tail today's picks. If you want to go right to the sportsbook, you want to click add to bet slip, it'll take you right to the sportsbook page. Or if you want to plug them in individually, that's up to you. But all 5 picks are right here for you guys to see. And that does it for me for today's video, guys. Make sure one more time to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. Also, special thank you to Underdog and Outlier, the sponsors of today's video. We'll be back tomorrow with another MLB Player Prop video. But until then, I hope you're all winners. Have a fantastic day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.